As we try to understand Mannerism, it's important to understand that the Renaissance is generally broken down into 6 basic eras: the Renaissance, the High Renaissance, Mannerism, the Baroque era, the Rococo era, and the Romantic era. Mannerism is a style in European art that emerged in the later years of the Italian High Renaissance around 1520. It was a time of experimentation with art. It lasted until the end of the 1600s, when the Baroque style largely replaced it. The term Mannerism is not easily defined. It has been used to designate art that is overly artificial, often ambiguous, and conspicuously sophisticated. However, these are by no means the only stylistic traits associated with Mannerism. Mannerism tended to push the boundaries of fantasy and imagination, with artists looking to art rather than to nature as a model. Mannerism is sometimes defined as the stylish style because of its emphasis on self-conscious artifice over accurate and realistic description. The term Mannerism is generally used to broadly designate art of the 1500s in Europe. Mannerism is considered by many to be a link between the High Renaissance and the Baroque era of the 1600s and 1700s. When the term Mannerism was first widely used in the 1600s, it was intended to have a negative connotation to characterize Italian Renaissance art not yet called Mannerism, created between 1520 and 1600. It was seen by people of the 1600s as being overly stylized and tasteless. Mannerist artists tended to emphasize elongated figures and dynamic, distorted poses. They favored what was known as serpentinata, that is to say, figures with a snake-like serpentine quality. Mannerist artists also tended to favor a flattening of pictorial space. The result was often an image in which the subjects of a painting appeared to be on the same perspective plane as the background, or in a very shallow space in the foreground. The unusual proportions, perspectives, and color palettes of Mannerist artwork set them apart from Renaissance approaches. There was a strong sense of emotionality in Mannerist paintings, which wasn't so much in Renaissance and High Renaissance art. Renaissance and High Renaissance art tended to emphasize correct proportion, balance, and idealized form and idealized beauty. Mannerist artists tended to move away from these ideas into exaggeration. This often resulted in compositions that were asymmetrical, unnatural, and crowded with forms. Figures tended to be drawn with distorted or inaccurate form. By the end of the High Renaissance, young artists experienced a crisis. It seemed that everything that could be achieved was already achieved. It seemed to them that no more difficulties, technical or otherwise, remained to be solved. They had detailed knowledge of anatomy, light, physiognomy, and the way in which humans register emotion in expression and gesture. It seemed to them that the innovative use of the human form in figurative composition, the use of subtle gradation of tone, and realistic depiction had all reached near perfection. It was at this point that Mannerism started to emerge. Mannerist artists weren't interested in replicating nature, but in augmenting nature. Elongating form was important for expression. Artists didn't seek perfect symmetry like with Renaissance art, but strove for asymmetry. There was a sense of tension and strength in the compositions, and a sense of vibrant instability was sought rather than stability. Artists began to use elaborate compositions, elaborate clothes, unrealistic proportions, and highly stylized poses. Francisco Mazzola, also known as Parmigiano, was an Italian artist and printmaker active in Florence, Rome, and Bologna. His work was characterized by a refined sensuality. Agnolo Bronzano was an Italian artist. He was born in Florence and lived all his life in Florence, and from his late 30s was kept busy as a court painter for Cosimo de' Medici. Jacopo Comin, also known as Tintoretto, was an Italian artist and a notable exponent of the Venetian school. His work is known for his muscular figures, dramatic gestures, and bold use of perspective. Alessandro Alessi was an Italian artist of the late Mannerist Florentine school. It is often said that his figures had an unnatural, marble-like form, as if he sought cold statuary. El Greco was a Greek artist. His paintings are known for their haunting intensity, elongated figures, and strong contrast of color and light. Giuseppe Arcimbolo was an Italian artist. He was best known for creating imaginative portrait heads made entirely of objects such as fruits, vegetables, flowers, fish, and books. Joachim Wattibiel was a Dutch artist. He is considered one of the leading proponents of Northern Mannerism. He is known for his masterfully drawn, highly polished figures.